Taoiseach, there was more grim news this week, as we know, for the thousands of people desperate to find a secure and affordable home. We know that house prices are now higher than the Celtic Tiger peak, yet your government's building targets remain too low. 4 months since the Taoiseach admitted to me in leaders' questions that more ambition would be needed. So, Taoiseach, instead of housing for all, it seems we're still stuck with housing just for some. And those struggling to find an affordable home to rent must continue to compete with short-term tourist lettings. It's 5 years, Taoiseach, since the Oireachtas first debated our Labour bill to regulate Airbnb-style lets, and now we understand that the European Commission is still delaying a decision on your government proposal to do just that. You must remind the Commission how dire the housing crisis is here. You must tell them there is urgency to this, Taoiseach, because we can't afford to wait any longer for EU proposals. For years we've called for stronger regulation of short-term letting. We know just how many homes these platforms take out of use, because during the pandemic, suddenly they all became available. But that situation has now been allowed to worsen again. Building back better post-COVID has made its way out of the lexicon, and instead, prospective buyers and renters are being victimised by a profit-driven market and laissez-faire policies in the Department of Housing. Taoiseach, renters in Ireland are still at the whim of landlords, and there has been no tangible strengthening of renters' rights since the general election. No-fault evictions are still taking place, even though we in Labour proposed a bill to stop them. And while private rented sector inspections have gone up since the pandemic, enforcement is practically non-existent in many areas. Not a single prohibition notice was issued in 10 local authority areas last year. Taoiseach, homelessness figures will be out tomorrow. No one is under any illusion that there will be good news this month, because every day across the country, tenants are living in fear of the dreaded call to tell them that they will be losing their home. It's a wild west for renters out there. Just ask the tenants of Mark Goddard. And I want to give credit to the Irish Times for pulling back the veil on what is really going on for renters in the properties of this Luxembourg investor. Goddard has deployed CCTV to monitor his tenants. He's accused of unlawful evictions. He has failed to pay compensation to former tenants who won at the RTB. He has summarily fired his workers, and we hear about ruthless working conditions for those who work for him. Taoiseach, the latest documents revealed by the Irish Times show that he is now trying to recruit people to act as fronts for his property empire, to get others to use their identities to set up Airbnb accounts. So across a range of legal frameworks, he is riding roughshod over the rights of tenants and of workers, and he appears to be operating with impunity. And this is very serious. Yesterday, we know he avoided prosecution for breaches of planning laws. Yes, his companies were fined €7,500, but Taoiseach, that's probably only a few days' takings in some of his city centre Airbnbs. So, Taoiseach, my question is, are we going to continue to allow unscrupulous landlords to exploit legal loopholes, to exploit renters, many of whom are desperate for a roof over their heads, and to exploit workers, it seems? Taoiseach, when will short-term lets be regulated, and how will you tackle egregious abuses of the law by the small number of unscrupulous landlords like Goddard?
Taoiseach, please.